All right. Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, all the above. Team 505th, welcome to another edition of Virtual Coffee with Chief Thompson. I have a very special guest with me today, but I just want to take a quick moment to recognize, April is the month of the Military Child Month. Of course, I would love to have some little ones in here, but school and everything, so we could do that, but I did something even better. I would like to introduce one of our key spouses and also my wingman, Mrs. Chyrsta Dickens, to the show. Lovely to have you on. Again, it's always a pleasure to sit down and chit chat with you and just be in your presence because you're such an awesome person. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It is really an honor to be here. I'm really excited. I tell you what, it really is. It's an honor to be able to sit here with you, Chief, because I know that your time is very important. So I'm appreciative to have some of it.
Anytime. So for those that don't know, Mrs. Dickens is Colonel Dickens' better half. So she's the one that actually, like my kids would say, hey, Dad's the chief, but Mommy's the real chief. So Chrysta's the colonel, the real wing commander. So we all know as spouses and husbands or wives that are in these positions. But when we go home, the real bosses are there. Keep us in line. So once again, thank you for coming and spending some time with us and letting us give a chance to introduce you to the rest of the wing. And just ask a few questions and have a good discussion.
Sounds great.
All right. Okay, so with that, we got a few questions that we'll start out with. Let's start with some background for everyone.
Okay.
Were you ever prior military or have any family members that are prior military?
I was not. My father was in the Army during the Vietnam era, and he was active duty for a short time and then went to the reserves. But that was when I was very, very young. Right. And so I don't remember any of that. Right. And they never moved. Right. So I didn't experience any of that. And so other than that, my grandfather was in the military during World War II. And both grandfathers. And again, so that was my only experience. Before this, I had no real concept of, military or being a military spouse.
Right. Mm-hmm. I know that as a dependent, me myself as a military Army brat, my dad was Army as well, Vietnam period, and bouncing around at different locations. So I got used to every 4 or 5 years, hey, we were moving somewhere new. Mm-hmm. At first it was great, then after a while I was like, I just made some new friends, Dad. We're leaving already. So it took some adjustment, but kids that are exposed to the military lifestyle and kind of get used to bouncing around, extremely resilient. And I'll just talk about my little bugs. They bounce around, and we might be in one place for like 1 year, and it's like, hey, it's time to move, guys. They're like, we just got here. But I was like, hey, well, you get to meet some new friends, get to experience some new stuff and like that. And as soon as you get here, they're like, okay, we're good. And they just plug right on in. So those guys are awesome. Just very resilient, having little kids and stuff, how they bounce back and adapt very quickly.
They do.
Okay, so I know you teach. Can you give us a little background on what you do as a teacher now?
Well, right now I'm teaching on an online platform that does homeschool classes, but in addition to that, it does like enrichment type classes, and I teach history classes to children.
Awesome. Awesome. So with that online and stuff, so how was the adjustment, I guess, with the bandwidth? Did you have any issues with bandwidth? I know me trying to do the whole online, converting to being an online teacher. Yes. I was not ready. I was not ready for it, and bandwidth issues and app problems. Do you see yourself running into any of those situations?
It is interesting that you say that because moving here, getting internet hooked up quickly, transitioning, storms knocked it out a couple times, and that has been an issue. And I think with military spouses, so many of them finding remote work and online jobs, I do think that is an issue in an area when they're moving to a place. Maybe they don't have base housing yet. They're trying to figure out what to do. Is the bandwidth, say in the TLF, going to be strong enough? I do think that can be an issue. We have been able to solve that for the most part, barring Hurricane Sally, which so wonderfully visited us last fall. But we have been able to solve it. But I do, interestingly, it really, really can be an issue for military spouses as they move around and they're bringing their jobs with them to have that bandwidth. And then, of course, when many of you guys had to move the job home for a while, it was the same thing. So it is, yes, you're right. Yes, it can be an issue.
It is, yeah, definitely. And we understand it. And, as we say, it's part of the business when you kind of, marry into this lifestyle. So let's talk about that a little bit. So, prior to Colonel Dickens enlisted, were you guys dating prior to his commissioning?
We actually celebrated our 4th anniversary while he was at OTS.
Very good.
Yes, so we were living in North Carolina. He came home one day and he said, "Hey, I think I really want to join the Air Force." Right. And I said, "Wow, that is not what I thought you were going to come home and say today."
Right.
And so we, again, I really didn't have any experience with this, and so I said, "Okay, let's do this." But so we were already married. So we really kind of dove into this together as a team already. We already had our oldest daughter. So we basically learned about the Air Force together.
That's good.
So it wasn't a situation where many couples where the military member is already in, and then the person marrying into it is the spouse is learning, but we really did learn together. Right. Yeah.
That's good. So that's all. So trick question. So
okay.
Not trick question, I should say. Well, trick question for some of us. So you guys were celebrate your 4-year anniversary when he when I was in OTS. So how long have you guys been married for?
We have been married for 28 years.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Such a blessing. And so you guys are empty nesters now?
We are wonderful at being empty nesters. We are like old hat at this. That we are. Both of our daughters are grown, graduated from college, both married. I do have to mention this because it is funny.
Yes.
They're both married to both of our sons-in-law are named Josh. They're both from Roanoke, Virginia.
All right.
We have no idea how something like that happens. The Joshua, as we like to call them, the Joshua did not know each other.
Yeah.
So yes, it is kind of funny because I don't know how something like that happens.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So shout out to the Joshuas out there. And welcome to the family, our extended military family. All right. So going into that, so you pretty much, as you were saying, you guys were kind of learning the military together. And I know, as an active duty member, they kind of tell us where we're going to go, be going, and tell us what to do, and kind of point us in the right direction. But as a spouse, it's kind of like, hey, as an enlisted person or officer, they kind of come and facilitate information to help the spouses out. So how was it doing that transition for you as a spouse now outside, not really having a boss kind of tell you, hey, you need to do this, you need to be here? How was that for you transitioning?
Interesting it is really interesting for me to think back. I was very fortunate that I had the first friends we made. Another military couple, the spouse was all in. Right. She was really all in. And it really helped me to have an attitude of being all in. So I woke up a few months into his time thinking, gosh, I'd really like to get back close to what was home. Then I woke up one morning and I thought, well, this is silly because we may get there temporarily, but eventually we're going to move again. Right. And so I either need to embrace this and really just make the best of it, or I'm going to spend a lot of time saying, gosh, I wish I was here. And with that, and again, because, some of our really good friends, she was a very positive kind of can-do person and such a really great influence to have in my life. I took the time to really learn about the Air Force.
Right.
To try to understand why decisions are made like they were, why why weapon systems were developed like they are. What is the process that you go through? And of course, only at a level that I would really know, just kind of as a spouse, by reading as much news as I could, asking Richard questions. Really just probably driving him crazy with all of my questions. But why? But with that, I think what it has done for me is when a policy comes out, instead of going, gosh, that makes me mad, I think, clearly some thought has, most of the time, some real thought has gone into this. There must be a reason why. There's something I, as a spouse, don't know that has created this. No one, I truly can't believe that someone wants to create a policy or implement a procedure that they do not believe fundamentally is going to have a positive impact. And I think that having that attitude and really trying to learn has just made it a lot better life. It has made, because he has been in 24 years now, and it has made those 24 years, I think, a lot more enjoyable for me, because I know there's a process. And that's one of the reasons why I'm really pro not just spouses groups at a unit, but the larger spouses club, the private organization, because I think that is the one opportunity for spouses to really interact with the base on a kind of a business level, and you learn so much about how an installation functions.
Absolutely.
And I feel like with every year, I just, I learn new things. And so I feel like that's important. And I think it has made a huge difference in my life and my outlook.
Absolutely. Not only for the spouses, but it's such a key element, as, military members, their spouses and partners, just how important it is to have that sounding board, that partner at home. So when, you have a rough day at home, you at work, you come home and be able to kind of decompress and, have that, that loving partner there to kind of help support you. And, it's beautiful that you take the time to try to learn and understand it. Because again, for us, it's everyday business. I don't want to talk about work, whatever, but like, well, what's really going on? And kind of give her an opportunity, kind of, get some stuff off your shoulders. And also, the more you kind of learn about it, you can bounce ideas off your spouse. And, I'm kind of fortunate having Jay on my side, because, her being an active duty member, and we kind of share ideas on leadership. And, am I thinking about this the wrong way? And, she can kind of help me chamber my thought process, and I can do the same vice versa. And it's just great having that connection, because, our spouses play such a key role in our success. Because again, they say, hey, as you progress in rank and positions, you don't get there alone. And a lot of that is due to the fact that you have a support system, your kids, partners, spouses, whatever it might be, parents, that are pushing you along to kind of encourage you to keep, pushing a good fight and keep at it, even though you might not get what you want at that moment. But stay in the fight, and you're doing a good job, and we're supporting you. Even if you might not get all that support that you feel at the job, hey, at home, the home front supporting you, and I'm in this with you. You're not doing it alone. So, it's a blessing to have that support network. It's very vital, and spouses are key to all of our successes. So, shout out to all the spouses and partners out there. So 2 kids. Empty nesters now, the journey. Let's talk about the military journey. How did you and the kids do with all the moves and TDYs?
One of the things that I just thought I probably needed to do from the very beginning, because, of course, even from the beginning, Bailey was 3 when he joined, or when he commissioned, I guess I should say, and I realized pretty quickly I just needed to create a schedule. We have a schedule. We had expectations. We knew what we were going to do every day, and then he was able to flow in when he could, and he wasn't there when he wasn't. And then then Grayson was born, and you know, I had the two of them together. It really, me just keeping a consistent schedule, and it's not that we didn't learn how to be flexible, because I do think that's very important for kids, but they always knew that no matter what happened with Dad, these things were going to happen at the house. Right. And even if we were a little flexible one day with, you know, certain parts of our schedule, there was still kind of a standard expectation of normalcy. And because of that, the other thing that I also kept was their expectations of them. So whether he was home or not, you were still expected to do these things. Right. And these were expectations. And because of that, and I've talked to both of them about this, now that they're adults, they're able to articulate it. They didn't really feel his comings and goings, because to them, yeah, and watching this over the years, children do a lot better when they feel like they miss whatever parent is gone. But when they feel like their life is not being interrupted by that, they feel safer. Right, absolutely. And so by doing that, and by knowing that the expectations were not going to change, I still expected them to do their homework, or empty clear the table, or do whatever chore, or, you know, participate politely in the sport, and you were going to be nice to everybody. The expectations never changed. They didn't feel like we were ever in any kind of a crisis or survival mode because Dad was gone. Yeah, that wasn't a thing. Yeah. Everything was normal. And they will say now, you know, it never felt chaotic. Right. Because again, the level of expectation was the same. And so, and the other thing is, because of that, when he got home, they were able to enjoy their time together. And again, it wasn't, you know, thank goodness now we'll go back to, you know, this. The other thing I would say, and this is a tip that I give a lot of younger families, is that we had some special things we did only when he was gone. Okay, yeah. Every time he went TDY, we took one trip he wouldn't want to go on. Or not TDY, I'm sorry, I should say every time he deployed. We went on one trip that he wouldn't want to go on. And so there would be a treat, but then again, when we were home, those same rules, same expectations, same schedule. And so, you know, it did mean that I had to stay more organized, and I'm certainly not saying I was always perfect, but I at least gave it a good try. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And so, and they will both tell you now that they hated the moving, but they did enjoy the life. Right. Yeah, just exposure to different things, and you're absolutely right, maintaining that structure and stability, you know, while the other member might be out or deployed. It's rough, but like say, you know, like the expectations don't change. You know, if mom or dad is not here, the expectation of how you're going to protect yourself and how we're going to take care of the home is going to stay the same. Exactly. Like I say, it makes the kids feel, okay, well, my routine is not changing. Yes. Mom or dad might not be here for a little while, but the routine is going to stick the way it is, which is great. So you gave the one good tip. Any additional tips or lessons learned that you'd like to share, like any new spouses out there? Let's see. I made a list of easy dinners that the kids like. Oh, yeah, Jay's got that down pat. Yes. And then otherwise, I didn't, other tips. We usually just, in addition to maybe doing some fun things, I made them part of making the list of things to do, you know, that we were going to do that was fun, but I also made them part of learning how we were going to kind of work together in case something happened. Of course, as they got older, but, you know, these are our emergency procedures in case because as we know, the car's going to break down.
Oh,
during
yeah.
the interrupt,
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of made them part of that problem solving
Okay.
structure, and that was good for them. I think it was good for all of us. You know what I
Right.
mean? I would say that was, and that's something that I learned from another spouse. You know, just kind of make them part of the problem solving structure. And what they learned from that was how to be so independent.
Right, absolutely.
I completely stole that from another spouse.
That's good. That's
Yes.
good stuff.
Yep. Teach them problem solving skills.
And with that is the importance of, you know, new spouses, new babies, getting outside of your own comfort zone to meet other spouses.
Yes.
Because again, you know, everybody's at different levels of their military journey.
Yes.
You know, so you know the ones that are brand new, they're still learning, but some of the ones that have been in for a little while, hey, let me share some of the tricks that I've learned, or let me help you connect into you know, youth center or child care or whatever it might be. And
Yes.
I know we just met, but if you have some errands that you need, we are an extended family now, and we're here to support and help each other. It's so beautiful. I love seeing it. You know, just being able to say, I'm going TDY. We just got to a new base. Is there anybody that my wife can, you know, connect with to kind of help out?
Yes.
You know, it's amazing just to see that network of spouses and partners come out and be like, hey, we're here to help you out. If you need me to cut your grass, no problem. You know, I can cut the grass, or I get my boys to come over, you know, cut the grass, take out the trash, whatever you need. I just love that connection that you get being part of the military and the family network, I should call it. You know, and, you know, like now, you know, us living on base, you know, we haven't lived on base ever. The kids love it.
Isn't living on base fabulous?
Oh my goodness, the kids love. They're, you know, it's day one. They're like, Dad, can I go out and play with new friends? I was like, you just got here. What do you mean? You got friends already?
Yeah.
He was like, yeah. Just as soon as we drove up, you know, the kids were coming out and they were like, hey, they were gone, and it gave, you know, me and Jay time to unpack. And I was like, all right, well, they're on base. A sense of comfort, you know, the fact that, hey, we're in a fence and I know they're not going far. I was like, hey, stay. I need to see you, you know. So, but you know, we really enjoy that part. Just another caveat: if there's any questions for myself or Mrs. Dickens, please, you know, chime in, and we'll be happy to answer those questions as best we can.
I have one whenever you're ready.
Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead.
All right. Based on your experience as a key spouse mentor, do you think military children have an easier time with moving now with technology and social media are more readily accessible and friends just via video chat, email, and text?
That's a fantastic question. I would say yes and no. I know that's kind of a little bit of a cop-out answer, but I think it there's a point on each side. The kids can stay. They have the ability to stay in touch with their friends, and that makes them feel comforted. It is a lot easier for them to, especially if they're older, to research things they may want to do, or to see what their new school is going to be like because of technology. I think on the flip side of that, sometimes it keeps them from maybe kind of going out of their comfort zone and engaging. I will say we were kind of at the beginning of the technology craze with our oldest, and then into it by the time our youngest came along, and I saw some of that. One of the things that we did, especially as they were older, everybody had to play a sport.
Yeah.
So when we got to wherever we were going, you were going to play a sport because you were outside, you were unhooked from all the technology, and you had to interact with the other kids.
Right.
Yes, I think that there really are some positives about it, but I also think that, and this is just in my experience, because I really appreciate that question, because it is something that I have asked myself, and I have talked to other spouses with more young adult children, you know, what they experienced, and they're saying they kind of saw the same thing as technology became more prevalent in our lives, that they saw good things, but then they did see it kind of making kids kind of hold on to where they were instead of fully immersing in the new places that they have gone to, and maybe not really embracing always the fact that they need to, wherever you go, there you are. That same wise spouse that that I said had such a great attitude when we first kind of started this journey, that we're our first Air Force friends. She always said that wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah.
You know, and there are so many things in that statement, and so I think that is it's wonderful and it's tough all at the same time. So
Agreed.
Yes.
And technology, and I'll just add to that. So technology has been so great. So Military One Source has an array of programs and stuff like that. And I can't remember where we were PCS into, but you could pretty much get it was a disc back then, a disc or some virtual data on the location that you're going to. And there was another program in there, so my kids are still young, where they can connect to almost like a sponsor kid. They can connect to a sponsor kid to kind of show them, hey, this is what it's like at this place, and it's really fun and stuff. So Military One Source has a lot of different avenues to kind of help with that transition. And they kind of focus a lot of energy towards the kids, because it is a huge step, and it's a challenge for them, readjusting and, getting into a new school and making new friends for some.
Yes.
And so, they have a lot of different programs out there to kind of help with that transition. So, as a military brat myself back in, the 80s, we didn't have all that technology that capabilities. Like, hey, son, hey, well, we're moving. That's it. And we're gone, So you get into the new school, you're a new kid.
Yes.
Not knowing what is Mannheim, Germany going to look like? I'm going to Germany. I have no idea, but nowadays, you can do that research and kind of plan that trip, and, get the kids involved with it, and be like, hey, let's look up some fun facts about our next location that we're going. You being a history buff, you'd be like, hey, let's pull up some history on this place. Maybe there's some spots we can go and explore once we get there. Makes it a little bit funner for them. I know my kids, when we found out we were coming here, all I had to say, there's a beach. Okay, we're in. So that was a selling thing for me. It was like, we'll be on the beach, guys. And they were like, okay, we can do this.
Yes.
So they're all in after that.
I love the pragmatism.
Yeah,
Kids
right.
seeing beach equals fun.
Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, day one, Dad, can we go to the beach? We just drove 12 hours. Can we get a nap, please? How about tomorrow? We'll try tomorrow, okay? I want to go right now. It's like, it's nighttime. Let's go tomorrow. But they're getting their fun and fix of the beach nowadays, so they're good to go.
That's awesome.
So kind of like along those lines, I had a question here. Do you have any tips for parents with children who are introverted or shy when moving to a new base to make friends?
We have our youngest daughter is really quite an introvert, and I really did emphasize that everybody has to join a sports team and get to where we're going. Especially when because these days they can start playing. I don't know, can they play soccer at like 3 now?
Yeah, they got the little H,
all the things. And so, and then in high school, we did require them to play a sport, but also to join a club or to do something like that. And I think the kids who do move in and do that kind of thing have an easier time, because they may only make one friend, but it really only takes one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that I know in a lot of states, especially in high school, there were some challenges with students moving in and trying out for sports teams, and the coaches kind of, well, we've got these kids here, and you might be better, but these kids have already been here, which. But the Military Child Education Coalition has really helped with that, because now most states have guidelines that localities are required to follow, and I have really encouraged parents to get in touch with the school liaison officer.
Right, absolutely.
If they're not getting cooperation from the school to allow their kids to do that, club teams, rec teams, stuff like that. The other thing that I think can be really good for older students is that most high schools require volunteer hours now.
Yeah.
So when you get to a place, if you go ahead and make some inquiries about how your student can start those volunteer hours immediately, if you can find, if you call the school and say, hey, where do a lot of the kids volunteer? Then that's a way to get them in, because kids generally make themselves kind of a little more vulnerable when they are volunteering.
Right.
So now if you can get your student in somewhere, your child in somewhere where there are other kids that are already volunteering and therefore kind of feeling more vulnerable, maybe not in their general friend group at school, and your child can be introduced to them there, now you've kind of lowered some barriers for them. You've given them an opportunity to meet other kids in a different place, that's not within the walls of the school.
Absolutely.
And with younger kids, I just go to the playground.
Yes.
Just go.
Yes.
You need to be on the playground. You are not allowed to be off the playground as long as
Yes.
it's sunny until,
There you go.
that's,
Yes. Go
that's my-
socialize, get them out there.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's great for the youngers, and then for the older kids it does take a little more maybe processing and planning, especially these days, but with the technology the way it is, but that is a lot of what we did.
Right.
And it seemed to work. That doesn't mean that our youngest was particularly happy about moving, but she was always okay.
Yeah.
And the transition was a lot easier.
Yeah. So Samir, he's my quiet one. He's the one that wants to stay in the house and play on the game or anything. I'm like, all right, son, that's enough of that. Go outside. Go outside, play with some friends and stuff, and he'll go for 10 minutes, come back like I played. I was like, no, son, go back. You gotta go back. You're not coming back in until, hey, go have some fun, be a kid.
Yeah.
So he's the one that we always have to push him out. Devon and Leia, they're social butterflies. But once Samir kind of gets in his groove, he's gone. He's out there having a good time. So you brought up a very good point. I guess the military liaison type deal for schools.
School liaison.
I did not realize this because, Jay, she handles most of that stuff.
Yes.
And not until, once I started getting the emails and stuff, welcome to the base, and, prior to us PCS, and, I'm like, man, I'd forward it to Jay, like, hey, there's somebody's asking about what we might need and stuff. Then I sat down and started reading this, like, that's cool. So they help, and especially for new spouses and our partners, there's a lot of support agencies that help with that transition.
Yeah.
Where, because, you go into a new base, and, especially if, spouse and the husband say, hey, as soon as you get there, you're plugged into work doing a thing. It's like, all right, love, well, you got to handle all this, and where do I start? So them kind of reaching out ahead of time to kind of give you valuable contacts and information that you can take care of early. So helpful, because I was able to start, answer some of these emails and sending paperwork in, and me and Jay kind of, balance it out between both of us instead of one of us doing it. It made it so much easier to try to get the kids into school and get them set up, and they have the guidance counselors and the emotional counselors that kind of help the kids with the transition. And it's amazing how far we've come, and supporting the kids and the spouses and partners along the way. So it's good stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah,
All right.
I agree.
Let's see here. Any tips for spouses, partners to prepare children for deployment or TDYs? Or even preparing themselves for spouses and stuff. I have my own inputs, but I'd love to hear from you.
Oh gosh, I bet you have good inputs.
Yeah.
So I have a binder of all the everything, because a lot of times me being organized made the difference, because then I was able to say, all right, well, I know there's a base level of things that I have accomplished. These items are not going to become a crisis, so now I can focus on these. And it really was just, I just didn't make a big deal out of it.
Right, yeah.
I just, he's going, and we'll miss him, but it's gonna be fine.
Right.
And I really kept things really level and calm. And that doesn't mean sometimes, when everything in the house broke the day he left.
Yeah, right.
How does the house know? If anyone could ever answer that question, it would be lovely, but the car knows.
$1 million question.
Yeah, but the washing machine knows, everything knows.
My truck.
Your truck, is your truck
never
work
fails.
Never fails.
Jay was like, as soon as you leave, the truck stops working. I was like, user error. It was working just fine. I just drove it. What is wrong with it? what did you do to my truck? So.
And there is nothing that enables a spouse to be able to freeze your ear off with yelling through the phone and you're saying user error.
Yes.
So yeah, but knowing that stuff was going to happen, but really, just saying, again, things are not going to change.
Yeah.
These things are going to remain the same, and yep, it's sad, but we didn't dwell on it.
Right.
We're gonna move on, and this is what we're gonna do, and we miss Dad, and we'll get to talk to him when we can, and of course, most of the time, when he was gone, it was still you got the 15-minute phone call.
Oh yeah, remember those?
That was scheduled, and when your time was up, it really didn't matter if you were mid-sentence.
Nope.
Someone would
cut off.
Click and cut off, yes. And, but otherwise, look at all these fun things we have to do.
Right.
And, I know that can be really tough when they're small and you're the only parent home and you have the screaming baby and everything else. But the other thing I would say is really reaching out and knowing where your support system is.
Right.
At the unit level, there are, most units have other spouses that want to get to know you.
Yes.
And not assuming that there's no one there who cares or wants to know you. That's not true, and I know that we are moving this summer to DC. I am already the emergency contact for 3 different friends for their kids at school for the 2021-2022 school year. I'm the emergency contact because that's what we do. And but reaching out and building a community before they go.
Right, yeah.
So that way, when the car does break down, you do have someone who can take you to the shop. When you do have a sick child and you need to go to the doctor, you do have someone who can, So really building that community is so important. And I have, through being able to help others or accepting assistance when I need it, I have made some of the most wonderful friends that are still just dear friends to this day. And I know they will be there for me because when they didn't even hardly know me, they were there for me. Right. So boy, now that we know each other, I really know they're going to be there for me, and they're friends I'll never forget.
Absolutely, and that's that military bond. We all share something in common, and so some of our techniques that we use, because I was normally the one that was going down range or something like that, getting deployed. So as the kids got older, modern technology is amazing. Now I can be in the middle of the desert somewhere, and I can be on Wi-Fi, and I can FaceTime with the kids. So one of the things that Jay would do, they have a alarm clock set or a clock set on the local time where I was at.
Oh, cool.
So we kind of had our own schedule, whatever time during the week where we would call Dad, we would FaceTime, and I'd be coming out of my little sleeping area, and get under some good Wi-Fi so I can get some FaceTime. Great, even if it's, I need you to talk to your son. He's having a hard time. Me and him can have a heart-to-heart discussion. And I'm like, hey, buddy, I understand it's challenging, but you still have an expectation. To act right, do the right thing. So, and kind of straighten him out. But Mom, even just me and her having time to see each other and talk, and and my dad, so my father, that Vietnam era of soldier and stuff. So and I can't remember what year we got my iPhone. So and I'm downrange again, so he understands that sometimes my job takes me to certain locations. I'm like, all right, Daddy, it's not a good time right now. He's like, I just want to see your face, make sure you're all right, as long as I can get in contact with you. He was on pins, he was on edge for me being over there, and rightfully so, but I try not to get them worried about it, and I'm like, I'm okay, Dad, don't worry, I'm in a safe place, so we're good. But that put him at ease, just being able to see my face and talk to me on a regular, because those days when it was like, hey, you got a 15-minute phone call, it takes you 5 minutes just to connect, then your connection might be horrible, and you're in a little wooden cubicle, it's a little phone, and Yeah, you have 10 seconds remaining and click. I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah, those were hard times. It's like, oh man, I can't get another call for her until next week or whatever. But you know, modern technology has come so far and keeping us connected, which is good. And sometimes it's hard, you know, because you get on the phone and you know the kids are back and they're like, I miss you, Daddy. When are you coming home? You know, you've been gone too long. And I was like, I know, it makes it hard. So that's when I go to the gym or the track. I'm like, all right, just get a couple laps, just get it, you know, clear your head. Like, hey, you get through this. But I do appreciate the ability to be able to reach out and see them nowadays and have that schedule, that structure. So it makes it a little bit easier. You know, the calendars and everything, you know, they're marking off the calendar. I'm doing the same thing at my job. You know, I got the donut of misery counting down. Like, hey, we're 3 weeks out. We're getting there. You know, so hey, you know, we're going to get home. We're going to plan some events. We're going to go somewhere. And then the excitement kicks in. You know, so it makes it all worth it. Okay. Okay, so thinking back over the years, what have you learned that might be helpful for a new spouse, partner, or someone who's a seasoned veteran?
Oh gosh, yes. So I would say that probably the most important thing that I have learned is that if we don't just decide to be flexible, then we're deciding to be unhappy.
Right, yeah.
And there are things that I like to have a certain way and I really like to plan, and I have chosen to make those things that I actually have control over.
Right.
I want my dishes a certain way in my kitchen. I can have control over that. I cannot have control over when we move.
Yes.
But I've made that decision, and that's okay, because I know that that there are, you know, things that and that would probably be my biggest thing, is just expectations management for myself.
Right.
You know, knowing that that just if I set up unrealistic expectations, and that goes back to understanding kind of the way the Air Force is and how it operates. And so when I really tried to learn that, it helped me with expectations management.
Right.
And so now, why would I be upset at, you know, when we need to move, or what happens, or, you know, dates are going to change, or things like that, because I know those things are going to happen, and I know a lot of times it's really that someone doesn't have control. Something bigger happened, and so I can set my expectations for that, you know. And if I get upset, that's on me, because I know that. And it's not that it can't be irritating, you know, and be willing to, you know, to do that. But the other thing I would say is, again, talking about the military family, there are friends that we have made that I will forever be grateful for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so gratitude, just gratitude for the opportunities. We probably would have never left the state we were living in and never moved around, and now my kids have been to like 8 or 9 different countries.
Amazing.
You know, and things that we would have never. They both went to college in Virginia. We never lived in Virginia until my youngest one's senior year in high school.
Right.
They wouldn't have known to branch out and to look other places, but for the fact that they weren't scared of the world, you know. And after graduation, our oldest daughter moved to Wisconsin, you know, when other students at school with her were like, when the recruiters were coming around from the different companies and saying, you know, we have these jobs at this software company, but, you know, you have to move to Wisconsin. She's like, well, I'll move to Wisconsin. I don't care where I live, you know? And so that gave her another opportunity, you know? And so I would not trade that for the world. The other thing that I would say is, everybody's busy, so don't assume if you haven't heard from somebody that they don't care.
Absolutely.
Reach out. Nobody necessarily knows that you've PCS'd in. So don't assume that people don't care about you and don't want to help you.
Yeah.
They may just be busy and they just don't know
Right,
you've moved
absolutely.
in. So
Yeah.
give them an opportunity to know you're there, because there is something amazing about you
Yeah.
that you bring to the table.
Mhm.
Give the other people an opportunity to know that by reaching out.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Very good advice. Very good advice. Like I say, get out of your own comfort zone, and explore, and meet new friends, and connect with the folks around you. Because it makes, I always say, hey, whatever base you get sent to, no matter what it is, you got to make the most of it, and enjoy it for the ride, because it's only temporary.
Yes.
Then there's going to come another assignment, but it's only temporary. But enjoy that moment, and the lifelong friendships that you can make are amazing. I have a group of friends that we'll all grow old together.
Yes.
We're such a close knit friend group, and we were seeing our kids that were little babies now growing up, college and married, and having kids of their own, and it's just beautiful to see. Like, hey, if I would have stayed, in my own state, I probably never had that opportunity
Yes.
to meet these amazing people, and be like, hey, those are my brothers and sisters in arms. We're part of my military family. That's always going to be a part of me. And I can't see life, without that team of folks around me. So, it's blessed. And my kids say, hey, that's Uncle Dan, that's Uncle Juan. Not blood related at all, but they're such close knit family that they know these kids when they were, in diapers. So they've been around them, and they're used to that. And it's just great. It's amazing. We really appreciate that.
I agree.
Okay, so last question I have here.
Okay.
Let's talk about success and lessons learned.
Okay.
So let's go with success, spousal success, if that's right.
Oh. Spousal success. It's interesting. I've redefined this several times over the years. I really set my goals for success kind of by circumstance.
Right.
Right now, I will consider it successful if I get everything done in time for a PCS.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was successful if I can, get this move successfully done and everyone is in school, or everyone is, where they need to be, and I have found the correct teachers and environment for them. It might be, and then sometimes it's a little broader, where, I feel like I have personally been a success if I can go to a base and I would really like to impact this part of the spouses group, whether it be kind of building a coalition of spouses that care about, volunteering here, or create a group that is supporting this particular need.
Right.
Sometimes it was that. Mostly, I would say, I did not work for many years. I stayed home with the kids, and then I do work. Now I work part-time teaching. But mostly, it is. I will consider our time a success if I get to the other end and Richard and I, feel together like we have done the best we could.
Right. Absolutely.
And I don't necessarily think that has to encompass any particular goal or landmark. Just, did we give it our all?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And sometimes I'm good at that. Some days I'm good at that. Some days I'm not.
Right.
And my ability to kind of self-assess and get to the end of the day and gone, whew, I could have done better.
Right.
And so if we can get to the end of this, and I feel like I at the very least gave it a really, really good attempt to be the best that I could be, and to be a positive force in as many people's lives as I could be, then I will consider all this time a success.
That's beautiful. And I like to key on the key word we. Did we give it our all? Because again, it's not you doing it by yourself. The boss supports you in your endeavors on what you want to get after, as well as you're supporting him on his endeavors on how he gets after it. And me and Jay have the same discussions. Are we doing our best? At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, as long as we're happy where we are at as a family, life is great. We're doing just fine. And she's my number one cheerleader. She pushes me when, some days I'm like, man, I think I'm done. I can't. She was like, you're built for this. This is what you do. And you're good at it. So she keeps me motivated. She peps me up and she helps reassure, that what I'm doing is right. And she'll correct me when I'm wrong. I might not like it, but she's quick to correct me when I'm wrong. But it's all right. But I need that. I think that's key, from a spouse and a support system or a partner. If something's wrong, or hey, sometimes you need to, pick your partner up and, hey, dust it off and hey, keep pressing. You're going to be just fine, and we're going to get through this. And we, that support piece is, hey, that's we, not just you, or not just I. It's what we do together, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
And she's a brilliant lady.
She is. I gotta give her that. She is pretty good. She's pretty good. Okay, Deb, do we have any additional questions or anything else?
No additional questions, but Mr. Lex, our honorary commander, said that you did great discussions and good job, Ms. Chyrsta, and then posted another post at YouTube Chief. So you got it.
All right, thank you, sir.
Afterthought there.
Thank you, sir. It's not about me, it's about my special guest here. All right, Chris, so any closing comments or anything like you'd like to share with the team?
Oh gosh, I'm just really, really grateful to be here. I love watching your coffee talk.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm excited and honored to be able to be here. And okay, so I have some questions.
All right, hey, on the spot. Let's go.
Okay, all right. So does Richard ever try to take your fries when you're sitting there at lunch together?
No, he doesn't take mine, but I might take one of his.
Okay. Does he ever make you listen to the music that he likes to listen to that you're just like, this is awful?
No comment. So I'll kind of, I like a variety of music, but I kind of tune in with the boss kind of likes, and so they like to call me out on my music history or my trivia. Like,
oh yes.
If I don't know a certain thing, him and the Vice are like, I can't believe you don't know this. I was like, well, that's not my genre that I normally listen to. I was like, shoot, that's a shame. I'm gonna need you to go and get educated on that. I was like, all right, fine. Then I'll go do my research. I'm like, yes, Clearwater Revival, Creedence. The Vice he's gonna give me mess about that because I messed it all up. But yeah, I'm like, all right, I'm getting better. So we listen to some of the same music, which is great. So we still enjoy it. I love hearing him sing though. He is a car singer. If y'all don't know that, the boss will sing in a car. I'm like, go ahead. I hear you over there.
See, that was just a little extra added effort to try to,
Yeah.
be a little bit of an instigator. Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna have to sneak a recording in there one day. So I was like, this is the boss singing very loudly in the car. That's good stuff.
Who's a better driver, you or him?
Me, of course. Yeah, that me.
Okay.
Who would you say is a better driver?
Oh, well, you. I mean.
Yes, I'm like, boss, I got this. We'll get there on time. That's good stuff. Okay, so anything else? Any other thing?
No, I think I probably should stop.
That's good. So I'll throw out a couple of announcements out there for the team. So hey, as you know, the first of 505 is up and away. So from April 12th to May 24th, I've been putting in some good miles. I'm going to tell you that right off the bat. So jump on in there and get after that. And my next virtual coffee is going to be with Chief Migo as we celebrate Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. That's going to be May the 13th. Please look out for the Facebook page as we post that and get that up and running. But looking forward to our next virtual coffee. And once again, my closing comments, I can't thank Chyrsta enough for joining me. As we're going through different ideas of what we're going to do, and I was like, I want to do it with the spouses. I was like, I would love to have Chyrsta on here. She's such a ball of energy, and it's fun. So, for those that don't know, I was with Chyrsta and Colonel Dickens back in Seymour Johnson. We worked on the Christmas party together.
That was a lot of fun.
We had a blast, and it was so much fun. And I just couldn't wait to get here and have some time with you again and do another event or whatever it might be. But she's such a fun person and just down to earth. You're really down to earth and really good person with a wealth of knowledge.
Thank you.
So I really appreciate having you on and spending some time with us today. And we're definitely looking forward to, hey, what's next? For you and the boss. Congratulations on a new assignment and hey, new adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
But hey, we're part of your military family, so you always reach out to me anytime that you need my support or help. I'm here for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Chief.
Absolutely.
Oh, we have one last minute comment.
One more comment?
All right, carpool karaoke with Colonel Dickens.
That could be a thing. Yes.
I think it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
That's Colonel Williams over at the Comp Squadron.
It's a great suggestion. I think that might actually be a genius suggestion.
I might be able to slide that in there.
I think that's a
Carpool
great idea.
karaoke. Yes.
Yeah.
We need a blooper reel before he goes, so we might have to build that up.
Oh, I would love the bloopers for that.
Yes. Sir, I will take that for notes. Take that for notes.
All right, let me wrap it up.